The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than any building on Earth. Thousands of alien beings sat in floating chairs that moved around a giant crystal sphere in the center. The sphere glowed with soft blue light and showed star maps, trade routes, and colony worlds. Ambassador Jiho stood at the speaking platform, his black suit looking plain next to the colorful robes and strange bodies of the alien council members. He had been Earth's voice in this place for 10 years. Today felt different. Today felt final. Honored council members, Jiho said into his translator device. The Human Federation requests permission to establish colonies in the Outer Rim territories. We have identified 12 suitable worlds that are currently unclaimed. A sound like grinding metal came from the Vraxian section. It was laughter. Chancellor Vexka raised one of his forearms. His gray skin looked like stone and his red eyes glowed with amusement. The humans want to expand again, Vexka said. Tell us, little ambassador, what will you use to defend these new colonies? Your primitive metal boxes that you call warships? More laughter came from different parts of the hall. The ethereal collective made sounds like wind chimes. The hive queens clicked their mandibles in what Jiho knew was mockery. Only the crystalline entities remained silent, their gem-like bodies pulsing with neutral light. Mina, Jiho's aide, stood behind him with her tablet. She was young, maybe 25, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She whispered in Korean, "They're not even pretending to take us seriously anymore." Jiho nodded slightly. On his wrist device, he could see Admiral Daeho watching from Earth. The old military man's face was stone, but Jiho could see anger in his eyes. Our defensive capabilities are sufficient for our needs, Jiho replied calmly. Human colonies have never fallen to external threats. Because you hide behind our protection, said Speaker Zenth of the Ethereal Collective. Her voice sounded like singing, but her words were sharp as knives. Your species has contributed little to galactic security. Your technology is decades behind ours. Your diplomatic skills are adequate at best. The insults continued. The hive queens talked about humans like they were children playing with toys. The void swimmers said human space travel was dangerous and sloppy. Even the usually quiet rock speakers suggested that humans should focus on farming instead of exploring space. Jiho listened to it all. His face showed nothing, but inside something was breaking. Not his spirit, his patience. The council will now vote, announced the prime speaker, an ancient being whose species had founded the Galactic Council 3,000 years ago, all in favor of granting the Human Federation expansion rights. 3 lights appeared. Only 3 out of 47 species voted yes. The Mentari swarms had been Earth's allies for years. The Silicon Gardens owed humanity a debt from the Kepler crisis. The third was a surprise, the Void Watchers who rarely voted at all. The motion fails, the prime speaker said. Furthermore, this council has concerns about human expansion. We have decided that Earth and all human colonies will be placed under protective supervision. The Vraxian Empire will oversee human activities to ensure galactic stability. The hall went quiet. Mina's tablet clattered to the floor. On his wrist screen, Jiho saw Admiral Daeho stand up so fast his chair fell over. Protective supervision. Jiho repeated slowly. You mean we become a protectorate? A subject species. Think of it as guidance, Chancellor Vexka said with another grinding laugh. Your people need to learn their place in the galaxy. You are a Category C civilization. You should be grateful for our protection. Jiho looked around the hall. 44 alien species had just voted to make humanity servants. After everything humans had done, the trade agreements, the joint research projects, the times human ships had rescued alien crews from pirates or disasters, none of it mattered. He reached up and removed his translator device. The small silver disc felt heavy in his hand. What are you doing? Speaker Zenth asked. Put that back on immediately. Jiho turned to Mina and spoke in Korean. 알겠습니다. 우리 방식대로 하겠습니다. His words came out as meaningless sounds to the aliens, but Mina understood. Her eyes went wide. Replace your translator, the prime speaker commanded. You will show proper respect to this council. Jiho clipped the device back on. But something had changed in his voice. The careful diplomacy was gone. The Human Federation thanks the Galactic Council for this educational experience, he said. Each word was clear and cold. We have learned much about our place in your galaxy. We won't be troubling you further. What does that mean? Chancellor Vexka demanded. It means exactly what I said. Jiho gathered his papers and handed them to Mina. We won't be troubling you anymore. He walked toward the exit. Mina followed, her face pale but determined. Behind them, alien voices rose in confusion and anger. "You cannot simply leave," Speaker Zenth called after them. "We are not finished with this discussion." Jiho paused at the great doors. When he looked back, his smile was not pleasant. "Yes, we are." The doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder. In the hallway outside, Mina grabbed Jiho's arm. "What did you just do?" she asked in Korean. "I ended a conversation that should have ended years ago," Jiho replied. "Contact Admiral Daeho. Tell him to begin Operation Exodus." "Exodus?" Mina's voice was barely a whisper. "Sir, are you talking about the contingency plan? The one we hoped we'd never use?" Jiho nodded. "Every human ship, every station, every colony. We're leaving. But sir, where will we go? The Council controls most of known space." Jiho looked out through a massive window at the stars beyond. "Then we'll find unknown space. Humans have always been good at going where others said we couldn't." As they walked to their shuttle, alarms began ringing in the council hall behind them. The aliens were arguing, shouting, trying to understand what had just happened. They would figure it out soon enough. Humanity had just resigned from the Galactic Council, and they were about to discover what that really meant. 3 days after Ambassador Jiho left the Galactic Council, something impossible happened. Every human presence in council space vanished. Captain Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his survey ship, Soul's Pride, watching the stars bend and twist through the view screen. The fold space drive hummed beneath his feet, a sound that still made him nervous. This technology was only 6 months old, and they were using it to move entire colonies. "How many ships in our convoy?" he asked his navigator. 237, sir," Ensign Yuna replied. "Everything from the Kepler mining station to the last supply shuttle." Through the strange blue light of fold space, Hyunwoo could see the massive shapes of colony ships, industrial platforms, and defensive stations. They were all moving together through a kind of space that the Galactic Council didn't even know existed. And the other convoys? Captain Donghae reports successful departure from the Vega sector. Captain Siano's group left the Outer Rim stations an hour ago. Captain Jinsu is bringing up the rear with the Earth orbital platforms. Hyunwoo nodded. Operation Exodus was working better than they had dared hope. 5 years of secret preparation, 5 years of building technology the Council thought was impossible, and now humanity was walking away from everything they had built in Council space. On New Sol Colony, Chief Engineer Nari watched through her office window as the last transport filled with colonists. The massive space station was about to be moved through fold space, something that should have torn it apart. But human engineers had figured out how to wrap the entire structure in a protective field. "Ma'am, we're ready for the jump," her assistant Minsu reported. "All civilians aboard?" "Yes, ma'am." "Every person, every pet, every plant from the hydroponics gardens. Nothing left behind." Nari activated her communicator. "Transport control, this is Chief Engineer Nari. New Sol Colony is ready for fold space translation." "Understood." "Chief, translation begins in 30 seconds. Through her window, Nari watched as reality began to bend. The stars stretched into lines, then disappeared entirely. The colony station shuddered once, then settled into the strange calm of fold space travel. Her communicator buzzed. "Nari, this is Admiral Daeho. How are the civilian stations handling the jump?" "Better than expected, sir. The families are scared but excited. The children think it's an adventure." Admiral Daeho's voice carried a mix of pride and sadness. "I suppose it is an adventure. The biggest one our species has ever attempted." On Kepler Station, Colony Administrator Donghyun was checking the evacuation lists for the 10th time. This had been humanity's most successful colony, home to over 2 million people. Now it was empty except for the cleanup crews who would leave on the final transport. "Sir, incoming transmission from Council Space," Communications Officer Haeyun reported. "Let me hear it." The voice of a Vraxian military commander filled the control room. "Human vessels, this is Fleet Commander Raxon. You are ordered to halt immediately and explain your actions. Respond immediately or we will consider you hostile." Dongyun almost laughed. "Haeyun, how far away are they?" 3 light hours, sir. And closing fast. They'll find empty space, Dongyun said. "Send them our standard message." The message was simple and had been approved by Earth Command. "The Human Federation thanks the Galactic Council for their concern. Our departure is voluntary and peaceful. We wish you well." Then Kepler Station folded space around itself and vanished. leaving the Vraxian fleet to arrive at empty coordinates where a thriving human colony had been just hours before. The same scene played out across 100 systems. Vraxian warships, ethereal scouts, and hive patrol vessels arrived at human positions to find nothing but empty space and abandoned asteroid mines. Even the massive Luna shipyards around Earth's moon were gone, leaving pristine space where humanity's largest construction facility had orbited for 50 years. In the Galactic Council chambers, chaos reigned. Emergency sessions were called every few hours as reports came in of more vanished human installations. How is this possible? Chancellor Vexka demanded. Our sensors showed human presence in these systems just days ago. They must be using some kind of cloaking technology, suggested Speaker Zenth. No cloak can hide entire colonies, replied the Crystalline Hive's representative. This is something else, something we don't understand. The Prime Speaker's ancient voice cut through the arguments. Send scouts to every system humans have ever occupied. Find them. Find out how they're doing this. But the scouts found nothing. Mining stations, research outposts, trade hubs, defensive platforms, all gone without a trace. The humans had taken everything, even their orbital garbage and communication satellites. On Earth's moon, where Luna City had housed 3 million people and the Federation's largest industrial complex, Vraxian investigators found only empty craters and confused alien traders who had arrived to find their business partners simply gone. Captain Hyunwoo received the reports from his command ship, now far beyond Council space in a region marked unexplored on every galactic map. Our scouts confirm it, Lieutenant Juwon reported. No human presence remains in Council space. The last diplomatic station evacuated 2 hours ago. And our new destination? The Andromeda Spiral Arm, sir. Long-range sensors show hundreds of suitable systems. And something else. We're detecting alien signals that don't match any Council species. New species? Yes, sir. Species the Council never found or never bothered to contact. Hyunwoo smiled. This was what humanity had always done best. Going where others said they couldn't, meeting new people, building new relationships. The Galactic Council had treated them like children who needed supervision. Now they would see what humanity could accomplish without permission. In Fold space, surrounded by the entirety of human civilization, Admiral Deho sent a message to every ship in the Exodus fleet. People of Earth and the colonies, his voice echoed through hundreds of vessels. Today we leave behind the Galactic Council's galaxy. We go to find our own place among the stars, to meet new friends and build new homes. We carry with us everything that makes us human. Our courage, our curiosity, and our refusal to be told we don't belong. He paused, looking out at the stars waiting beyond Fold space. The Council thought they were teaching us our place. Instead, they've set us free. As the last human ship disappeared into Fold space, the Galactic Council faced a terrible realization. Humanity hadn't just left. They had taken crucial technology, trade partnerships, and defensive capabilities with them. The galaxy was about to learn just how much they had depended on the species they thought was beneath them. 6 months after humanity vanished, the galaxy was falling apart. Chancellor Vexka stared at the reports covering his desk. Food shortages on 12 Vraxian worlds because human agricultural techniques were gone. Trade routes collapsing because human ships had carried goods between species who hated each other. Pirate attacks increasing because human patrol fleets no longer protected the border regions. How could we not see this? He asked his aide. The humans were integrated into everything, sir. We just never noticed because they never made demands or claimed credit. On the ethereal homeworld, Speaker Zenth faced similar problems. Human-designed water purification systems were failing, and no one knew how to fix them. Human translators had handled communication with 3 difficult species, and now those relationships were breaking down. Find them, she ordered her scouts. However far they went, find the humans. The search took months. Council fleets swept through empty systems, following faint energy signatures and old trade routes. They found nothing but abandoned mining equipment and empty space stations that had been stripped clean. Finally, a Vraxian scout captain named Kolven made contact with a long-range patrol that had been searching the unexplored regions beyond the galactic rim. Sir, we've found something, his communications officer reported. Energy signatures consistent with human technology, but different somehow. How different? More advanced, sir. Much more advanced. Captain Kolven ordered his small fleet to investigate. What they found made him question everything he thought he knew about humans. In a system that didn't appear on any council map, they discovered a thriving human colony surrounded by ships and stations of completely unknown design. The human vessels looked familiar, but they had been modified with technology that seemed almost magical. "Sir, we're being scanned," his sensor officer reported. "The scanning method is... I've never seen anything like it. Are we in danger?" "I don't think so, sir. It feels more like curiosity than hostility." A communication signal reached them. To Captain Colvin's surprise, it was in perfect Vraxian. "Vraxian vessels, this is Admiral Sunho of the Human Defense Fleet. You are in Free Stars Alliance territory. Please state your intentions." Colvin recognized the name. Admiral Sunho had commanded human escorts for Vraxian trade convoys for years. But his voice sounded different now, more confident, more in control. "Admiral Sunho, this is Captain Colvin of the Galactic Council Exploration Corps. We have been searching for human survivors. The Council wishes to discuss terms for your return." There was a long pause. When Admiral Sunho spoke again, his tone was polite but firm. "Captain, humans are not survivors. We are colonists, explorers, and allies to new friends. If the Council wishes to discuss anything, they may send an official delegation. Until then, you are welcome to observe our operations from a safe distance." "Operations? What operations?" "See for yourself, Captain." What Colvin saw through his view screen changed everything he thought he knew about human capabilities. Human ships worked alongside massive organic vessels that pulsed with their own light. Crystalline structures that looked like living art moved in perfect formation with human engineering platforms. Most shocking of all, the humans seemed to be in charge. "Sir, I'm reading 17 different species in this system," his science officer whispered. Some of them matched descriptions of species the Council classified as hostile or impossible to communicate with. A smaller human ship approached their position. Its hull bore markings that meant nothing to Vraxian eyes, but its message was clear when Admiral Sunho himself appeared on their view screen. He looked older but healthier than Colvin remembered. His uniform was new, with insignia that showed he now held a much higher rank than his old council position. "Captain, I want to show you something," Admiral Sunho said. "Follow me, but keep your weapons powered down. Our new allies can be nervous around unfamiliar military vessels." They flew past a space station that was clearly human-built, but incorporated design elements from multiple alien species. Vraxian metalwork supported ethereal energy systems while completely unknown technologies filled the gaps. "Admiral, who are these species?" Colvin asked. "The Mantari swarms, who your council called savage monsters. The Silicon Gardens, who your people said were impossible to understand. The Void Watchers, who supposedly destroyed anyone who contacted them." Admiral Sunho's tone was matter-of-fact. "They're actually quite pleasant once you learn to communicate properly. But how? Council xenobiologists spent decades trying to establish contact with these species. Your xenobiologist tried to make them fit Council standards," came a new voice. Dr. Yunji appeared on the communication channel, her face bright with excitement. "We learned their standards instead." Captain Colvin knew Dr. Yunji. She had been a promising researcher in Council space, always pushing for more study time with difficult species. Now she looked like someone who had found her life's work. "Dr. Yunji, what have you discovered?" "Everything, Captain. The Mantari communicate through chemical signals that Council translators ignore. The Silicon Gardens think in mathematical concepts that Council languages can't express. The Void Watchers exist partially outside normal space-time, which is why they seem hostile. They're actually trying to protect other species from dimensional damage." The tour continued. Colvin saw human children playing with young aliens in species-mixing areas that should have been impossible. He watched human engineers working with Mantari builders to construct a space station, using techniques he had never seen. Most amazingly, he observed a joint research project where human scientists, Silicon Garden mathematicians, and Void Watcher dimensional specialists were working together on problems the Council had declared unsolvable. "How many systems do you control now?" he asked Admiral Sunho. "We don't control anything, Captain. The Free Stars Alliance is exactly that, free. We have settled 17 systems, established trade with 43 species, and formed defensive pacts with 12 regional powers, all as equals. 17 systems in 6 months? That's impossible. Nothing is impossible when species work together instead of competing for dominance," Dr. Yunji said. Our Silicon Garden friends can analyze planetary systems in ways that turn months of surveys into hours of work. The Mantari can build atmospheric processors that create habitable conditions in weeks instead of years. The Void Watchers can detect resources and threats across dimensional boundaries, Captain. Colvin realized he was looking at something. The Galactic Council had never achieved untrue cooperation between multiple species where no one species was in charge. We should return to Council space, Admiral Sunho said eventually. But first, let me give you something for your leaders. He transmitted a data packet that made Colvin's communications officer gasp. Sir, this contains the locations of over 200 habitable worlds, defensive strategies for dealing with the pirate problems in Council space, and, sir, this looks like a cure for the crystalline plague that's been spreading through the hive sectors. Gifts, Admiral Sunho explained, from the Free Stars Alliance to the people of Council space. Not to the Council itself, but to the people who are suffering because their leaders made poor decisions. As the Vraxian ships prepared to leave, Captain Colvin had one final question. Admiral, will humanity ever return to Council space? Admiral Sunho smiled, but it wasn't a happy expression. Captain, we never left Council space. The Council left us. We just decided to build something better. The journey back to Vraxian territory gave Colvin time to review everything he had recorded. When he finally reached Council space and delivered his report, the reaction was immediate and panicked. The humans hadn't just survived. They had created a new galactic power that made the Council look primitive by comparison. 1 year after humanity's departure, the Galactic Council was desperate. The emergency session had been called after 3 more Council species requested help dealing with economic collapse. The ethereal collective's trade networks were failing. The crystalline hive was losing colonies to a plague no one could cure. Pirate attacks had increased by 400%. Prime Speaker Velthara, ancient leader of the Council, looked older than his 3,000 years as he addressed the assembly. We must face the truth, his voice echoed through the Great Hall. Our civilization is failing without human participation. Chancellor Vexka shifted uncomfortably in his seat. They were just one species among 47. How could they be so important? Because they were the glue that held everything together, Speaker Zenth admitted reluctantly. Our species work with humans. We don't work well with each other. The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. The Council had to try to bring humanity back. A formal delegation was assembled, representatives from 5 major species, including Chancellor Vexka himself. Their mission was to find the humans and negotiate their return with significant concessions. They expected to find refugees barely surviving in some distant system. What they found was the greatest shock in Council history. The delegation's ships emerged from hyperspace at the coordinates Captain Colvin had provided. Before them stretched a sight that defied everything they thought they knew about galactic politics. A massive space station floated in the system's center, easily 10 times larger than the Council's headquarters. It was clearly built by multiple species working together: human engineering, Mantari organic architecture, Silicon Garden crystalline mathematics, and technologies the Council had never seen. Ships moved in perfect coordination around the station. Not just human ships, but vessels from dozens of species, some working in formations that should have been impossible for different technologies to achieve. Sir, we're receiving a welcome message, the delegation's communication officer reported. The view screen lit up with the face of a woman the delegation didn't recognize. She was young, maybe 30, with calm eyes and a confident smile. Galactic Council delegation, welcome to Alliance Station. I am Minister Heejin of the Free Stars Alliance Foreign Affairs Department. Please follow the beacon to Dock 7, where you'll be met by our reception committee. Chancellor Vexka frowned. Who is this person? Where are the humans we know? Sir, according to our records, Minister Heijin was a junior administrator on New Sol Colony. She's been promoted significantly. The docking process was smooth, but everything about it felt different from Council procedures. Their ship was guided by a combination of human computer systems and what looked like living light from the Silicon Gardens. Security was present, but not threatening. Human guards worked alongside Mantari warriors and creatures the delegation had never seen before. Minister Heijin met them in person at the airlock. She wore a simple blue uniform with the Free Stars Alliance symbol, a cluster of stars connected by curved lines. representing cooperation between different worlds. Honored delegates, she said with perfect diplomatic courtesy. The Alliance Council is ready to receive you, but first, would you like to tour our station? I think it might help you understand what we've built here. The tour was carefully planned to show the delegation exactly how much humanity had changed. In the research section, Dr. Yunji was leading a mixed team of human scientists, Silicon Garden mathematicians, and Void Watcher dimensional specialists. They had just solved 3 problems that Council Science had worked on for decades. We've developed universal translation protocols that work with any form of communication, Dr. Yunji explained proudly. Chemical signals, mathematical concepts, dimensional resonance. We can talk to anyone now. In the military section, Fleet Admiral Kyungjae showed them joint training exercises where human tactical flexibility, combined with Mantari strength, Silicon Garden computational power, and Void Watcher stealth abilities. Each species brings different advantages, the Admiral explained. Instead of ranking them from best to worst, we combine them all into something stronger than any individual part. The civilian areas were even more impressive. Families from 6 different species lived and worked together. Human children played with young Mantari while their parents collaborated on engineering projects. Silicon Garden entities provided mathematical tutoring to teenagers from 3 species. This is impossible, Chancellor Vexka muttered to Speaker Zenth. These species have been enemies for centuries. Not enemies, Minister Heejin said, overhearing. Strangers. There's a difference. The delegation was finally brought to the Alliance Council chamber. It was nothing like the hierarchical structure of the Galactic Council. Instead of ranked seating based on species power, representatives sat in a circle where everyone could see everyone else. The meeting was led by President Soo-young, a former colony administrator who had been elected by vote of all Alliance citizens regardless of species. Honored delegates from the Galactic Council, President Soo-young began. We understand you wish to discuss humanity's return to Council space. Yes, Chancellor Vexka said quickly. The Council is prepared to offer significant concessions. Full membership rights, expanded territory grants, reduced oversight. I'm sorry, President Soo-young interrupted gently. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Humanity has not requested return to Council space, but your people are in exile, Speaker Zenth said. Surely you want to come home? This is our home now, President Soo-young replied. We've built something here that serves our needs and values. We have allies, not masters. We have cooperation, not competition. The delegation was confused. Where they had expected desperation, they found confidence. Where they expected isolation, they found new alliances. The meeting was interrupted by urgent alarms. A distress signal was coming from Council space. A Vraxian mining colony was facing natural disaster, with millions of lives at risk. We have to respond, Chancellor Vexka said. But our nearest rescue fleet is days away. Ours isn't, President Soo-young said calmly. She activated a communication channel. Captain Minseok, this is Alliance Station. We have a rescue mission. The response was immediate. Understood, Madam President. Joint rescue fleet launching in 10 minutes. Through the station's viewports, the delegation watched something that took their breath away. Human ships launched alongside Mantari biovessels, Silicon Garden crystalline craft, and Void Watcher dimensional shuttles. They moved together like parts of a single organism, each contributing their unique capabilities to the mission. You're going to save a Vraxian colony? Chancellor Vexka asked in amazement. Of course, President Soo-young said simply. People are in danger. Species politics don't matter when lives are at stake. The rescue operation was broadcast live to the delegation. They watched human engineering teams work with Mantari construction units to stabilize collapsing mining tunnels. Silicon Garden entities calculated optimal evacuation routes, while Void Watchers used their dimensional abilities to transport people through space-time barriers. In 12 hours, 2 million Vraxians were safely evacuated from a disaster that should have taken weeks to resolve with Council resources. When the rescued colonists were interviewed, their words were broadcast across Council space. The humans and their allies saved us. They worked together like we've never seen before. They didn't ask what we could give them in return. They just helped. As the delegation prepared to return to Council space, Chancellor Vexka had one final question. What do you want from the Galactic Council? President Soo-young considered the question carefully. recognition that the Free Stars Alliance is a sovereign power, trade agreements based on mutual benefit, cooperation on problems that affect all galactic citizens, and respect for the choice we've made to govern ourselves. And if the Council refuses, then we continue building our own civilization, she replied without hesitation. We're not dependent on Council approval anymore. As their ships departed Alliance Station, the delegation carried with them recordings, data files, and the unmistakable truth that humanity hadn't just survived their exile. They had created something better than what they left behind. 2 years after humanity left the Galactic Council, the galaxy had completely changed. President Su-Yung stood in her office aboard Alliance Station, looking out at a view that would have been impossible just years before. Human ships moved in formation with Mantari biovessels, Silicon Garden crystal craft, and 12 other species that had joined the Free Stars Alliance. What had started as humanity's exodus had become the foundation of a new kind of galactic civilization. Madam President, her aide Jinho reported, 3 more species have formally requested Alliance membership. The Coral Mines, the Quantum Dancers, and the Storm Riders. All species the Council said were impossible to work with. President Su-Yung noted with a slight smile. Yes, ma'am. Also, we're receiving reports that the Galactic Council is facing internal problems. The Ethereal Collective is threatening to leave after the vote on trade restrictions failed. President Su-Yung wasn't surprised. The Council's rigid hierarchy had worked when they controlled most of known space. Now that there was an alternative, member species were questioning why they accepted second-class status. The real test came when long-range sensors detected something that terrified every spacefaring species in the galaxy. Admiral Wunho rushed into President Su-Yung's office with urgent reports. The former human fleet captain now commanded joint alliance forces made up of 6 species working in perfect coordination. Madam President, we have a galaxy-level emergency, he announced. The ancient Sentinel network has awakened. President Su-Yung felt ice in her veins. Every species had legends about the Sentinels, ancient automated defense systems left behind by a dead civilization. They were designed to eliminate any species that became too advanced or too widespread. How bad is it? Very bad. The Sentinels are targeting every spacefaring species in the galaxy. They've already destroyed 3 uninhabited systems to test their weapons. Conservative estimates give us 6 months before they begin targeting populated worlds. Within hours, desperate messages reached Alliance Station from across the galaxy. The Galactic Council, individual member species, independent worlds, even pirate groups, everyone was begging for help. Chancellor Vexka's message was particularly humble. President Su-Yung, the Galactic Council formally requests Alliance assistance in dealing with the Sentinel threat. We acknowledge that Alliance technology and cooperation methods may be our best hope for survival. President Su-Yung called an emergency session of the Alliance Council. Representatives from 19 species gathered in their circular chamber, each bringing different perspectives and capabilities. The threat affects everyone, President Su-Yung told the assembled delegates. Alliance members, Council species, independent worlds. The Sentinels don't care about our political differences. The debate was intense, but brief. The decision was unanimous. The Alliance would help defend the entire galaxy regardless of politics. Dr. Yunji led the research effort. Her mixed species team had been studying ancient technology for months and had made breakthroughs the Council never achieved. The Sentinels are designed to fight individual species, she explained to the Combined War Council. They analyze a species' technology, biology, and tactics, then develop specific countermeasures. But they're not programmed to handle true cooperation between different species. What do you mean? Asked Ambassador Jiyoung, humanity's representative to the growing coalition of galactic powers. Each species has different strengths. Humans are adaptable and creative. Mantari are incredibly strong and resilient. Silicon Gardens can process information at impossible speeds. Void Watchers can manipulate dimensions. The Sentinels can counter any one of these abilities, but not all of them working together simultaneously. Admiral Wunho began organizing the galaxy's first truly integrated defense force. Human tactical flexibility would coordinate overall strategy. Mantari bioships would provide raw firepower. Silicon Garden vessels would handle computational warfare. Void Watchers would strike from dimensional angles the Sentinels couldn't predict. Even former Council species brought unique capabilities. Vraxian heavy armor, ethereal energy manipulation, Crystalline hive swarm tactics. Everything had a place in the combined fleet. The first major battle took place at the edge of Council space. A Sentinel probe fleet had been sent to test galactic defenses. What they found was something their ancient programming had never anticipated. "All ships, this is Admiral Woonho." His voice carried across the combined fleet. "Remember, we're not fighting as separate species today. We're fighting as one civilization." The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. Human ships used hit-and-run tactics to confuse the Sentinels while Mantari biovessels absorbed massive damage and kept fighting. Silicon Garden craft hacked the ancient computer systems while Void Watchers attacked from directions that shouldn't exist. When Vraxian heavy cruisers combined their firepower with ethereal energy weapons, guided by human tactical computers and protected by crystalline hive defensive screens, the result was devastating to the enemy. The Sentinels were destroyed completely, but not before transmitting data back to their main network. "They're learning," Dr. Yunji warned. "The next attack will be stronger and adapted to our tactics, President." Su-Young made a decision that would define the future of galactic civilization. "Need everyone," she announced in a galaxy-wide broadcast. "Every species, every world, every individual who can contribute. This isn't about alliance versus council anymore. This is about survival." The response was overwhelming. Species that had been enemies for centuries worked side by side. Independent worlds offered resources and hiding places. Even pirate groups contributed intelligence about hidden bases and secret routes. The final battle came 6 months later, when the full Sentinel fleet emerged from the galactic core. Thousands of ancient warships, each one capable of destroying entire star systems. The galaxy met them with the largest combined fleet in history. Over 50 species working together, their ships modified with shared technology and their tactics integrated through alliance coordination protocols. Ambassador Ji-young stood on the command ship's bridge, representing humanity in this moment that would decide their species' future. Around her, beings from dozens of worlds worked together with a precision that would have seemed impossible just years before. "All species report ready," Admiral Woonho announced. "Combined fleet strength at maximum. This is for everyone, everywhere." The battle lasted 3 days. The Sentinels fought with ancient fury, their weapons capable of cracking planets and their shields nearly impenetrable. But they faced something their creators had never imagined: true cooperation between radically different forms of life. When human creativity met Mentari strength, when Silicon Garden logic combined with Void Watcher dimensional manipulation, when dozens of other species each contributed their unique gifts to a single coordinated effort, the result was unstoppable. The last Sentinel ship fell to a combined attack that used 17 different types of weapons fired in perfect coordination. In the aftermath, as rescue ships from 40 species worked together to save survivors and repair damaged worlds, President Su-Young received a message that marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. Prime Speaker Vel Thara, ancient leader of the Galactic Council, appeared on her view screen. His 3,000-year-old voice carried new humility. "President Su-Young, the Galactic Council formally requests to open negotiations for integration with the Free Stars Alliance, not as a return to the old ways, but as the beginning of something new." President Su-Young looked out at the stars where ships from dozens of worlds flew together, their crews working side by side regardless of species or origin. "Prime Speaker, the Alliance doesn't conquer or absorb other governments, but we're always ready to welcome new friends who believe in cooperation over domination." She paused, remembering the day 2 years ago when humanity had been told to know their place in the galaxy. After all, we've learned that the galaxy is big enough for everyone to find their place. The question isn't whether you're worthy of a place at the table, it's whether you're ready to help build a bigger table. As peace negotiations began and the first integrated galactic government in history took shape, humans continued to do what they had always done best: explore new places, meet new people, and build bridges between different worlds. The species that had once dismissed them as primitive metal box builders now worked alongside them as equals, creating a civilization stronger than any single species could achieve alone. Humanity had not just survived being rejected from the Galactic Council. They had transformed the very meaning of galactic civilization itself.